Our next inductee of the Oklahoma Golf Hall of Fame class of 2021 is David Edwards. Straight driving, straight putting, and straight talk. 3 reasons why David Edwards has taken the center lane into the Oklahoma Golf Hall of Fame. Born in Neosho, Missouri, David learned how to play golf after his parents moved to Edmond, where he trailed after older brother Danny on trips to the Eastern Golf Club and Guthrie Country Club. Kicking Bird Golf Course opened in Edmond when David was 14, giving him a place to work, practice, and grow.
They all figured out when and where I was going to be, so they all looked busy, all the range rats. He was in the cart barn, and I'd walk out. Every time I'd walk out, he'd be sweeping the cart barn or doing something with the cart, and I thought he was the best worker I ever had. And we were at a Junior Hall of Fame banquet one time, and David told the story that, yeah, we polished the hubcaps on the right front tire, and we'd sit there and watch the hubcap. When we saw him coming, we'd get busy.
Danny had already proven himself as an All-American at OSU for Labor and Harris, and as a PGA Tour level player by the time David accepted an offer from new coach Mike Holder, mostly on the endorsement of All-American Tom Jones.
You know, I thought he was a good player, nothing exceptional in high school, and really probably the main reason that I took him or recruited him to Oklahoma State was because of his brother. And he was a first-team All-American here and a really great player for us. And I felt kind of an obligation to take his younger brother. Boy, did I undersell him or undervalued him on the front end, and didn't take but about a year for him to make a believer out of me. And I don't know, in my 32 years of coaching, it'd be hard to come up with another guy that improved as much over the course of his 4 years at OSU than David Edwards.
David is an unbelievable story. I mean, because he got better and better and better as you would hope to do when you go to school.
Although he may have been lightly recruited, Edwards came in determined to outwork his teammates and basically everyone in collegiate golf.
David was a senior when I was a freshman, and that particular winter wasn't very good. So David grabbed me and we'd go out to the golf course to Lakeside and we'd clear snow off to find a path to hit balls, and then sometimes we couldn't pick them up. We'd wait for the snow to melt and come back. So David worked hard at his game. He doesn't like to let people realize that he really loved the game. David would come across pretty nonchalant about everything, but I think inside there was a burning desire to play well.
Analytical, stubborn to a point, and willing to challenge conventional norms,
David challenged me as a teacher more than any person I've ever been. Every time I would suggest something that we might look at to change this, make this a little better, or tweak this, he wanted to know why. And always good questions, which challenged me as a teacher to get in depth of whatever we did. Not just do it my way because it'll work, but why. So yes, he always wanted to know why.
There was much more to his game than just a reliable draw and great putting. He would calculate his odds of making birdie from specific distances and play to those, knowing he was much more accurate with a full wedge than, say, a 50-yard field shot.
A real analytical thinker, and he's always asking a lot of questions. And as a matter of fact, I think he spent one day flipping a coin because somebody had told him that it was going to be 50-50, it was going to be heads or tails. And so he spent all day long graphing and flipping a coin to try to see if that was really the way it was, or he wasn't going to take somebody's word for it.
David became part of the legendary Oak Tree gang and shared his love for two-wheeled mayhem and for piloting his own plane.
We all had nicknames. I don't know if anyone's talked about how he got his, but Rafael Alarcon came up with some irons one day, and they were called Little David Slingers. And they were not very good-looking golf clubs, but Little David and Slinger, so David became Slinger ever since, and that's what we call it.
After his remarkable OSU career, Edwards played the PGA Tour from 1979 to 2005, recording 65 top 10 finishes. On tour, he won with Danny in a team event And his 3 other victories all came on classic courses, including Muirfield Village, Hilton Head, and Riviera, showing he could rise to the challenge at some of the game's greatest venues.
He's got it. What a great way to finish. Marvelous finish. 23-year-old Dave Edwards.
But what a great round of golf. 64 on Riviera, and for the championship, there's not enough that can be said about that today. Super.
He won again on the Champions Tour before that second career was cut short by wrist and shoulder injuries. He and his wife Johnny now make their home in Stillwater, a good base for travel and for cheering on their beloved Cowboys in all sports. A remarkable testament to the power of self-belief and hard work, David Edwards set his own path and rode it straight into the Oklahoma Golf Hall of Fame.
Well, obviously, I've got some friends here that have been looking forward to me having to get up here and talk for quite some time, so I'm glad that I won't disappoint them. First, let me say thank you to the committee. It's very nice to put on this event and honor us in this way. Congratulations to the scholarship winners and the other award winners here tonight. If I happen to say anything funny, it's okay for you to laugh. It's not likely that I will, but it's okay. So anyway, Ken McLeod, I asked him, what should I talk about this thing? And he said, well, tell them about your journey, about, kind of how you got here. And I thought, well, you just go west on Highway 51 out of Stillwater and then south on 35. Like, I don't know what he was talking about. Anyway, that's my comedy. First golf course I played was Kingfisher, Oklahoma. And what was unique was it only had one grass green. The rest were sand. I don't know if you, some older ones, maybe remember some sand greens and all. But anyway, I don't know if that's starting at the bottom, but it's pretty close to it. Danny's kind of talked about where there was no background of golf in our family. There was no golf course even in Edmond at that time. And in fact, our dad thought that Danny ought to mow yards in the summertime to make some money instead of playing golf. And not a bad idea, but fortunately he left that decision up to our mom. And she said Danny could go play golf in the summer, but there was one catch. He had to take me with him. So that had to be pretty hard on him because he was already shooting in the 70s and I couldn't break 100. So that was tough for him to deal with, I think. But I was very fortunate to get to go along and watch him. As he said, he kind of watched people on TV, and I watched him. And that's kind of how we learned. We didn't know what a Varden grip was or a swing plane or anything else, I don't think. We didn't know golf language even because we just hadn't been around it at all. But I learned a lot from Danny, mostly just how to get better. One day we were at Lincoln Park. The West Course first hole was a long par 5. And I wasn't very big. If I hit a good drive, it went maybe 100 yards. And so we get out to the ball that day, and I pull out my 3-iron. And I get up to the ball, and he says, "What are you doing?" He said that a lot. "What are you doing?" Well, I can't hit a 3-wood. So I said, "You're never going to be a good player if you don't learn to hit your 3-wood." So I put the 3-iron back. I got the 3-wood out. I topped it. We moved up about 20 yards. I topped it. We moved up about 20 yards. I topped it. But I learned that you can't avoid what you're not good at. You've got to work your way through it and improve. So I learned a lot of things being around Danny in those first few years. And then Kicking Bird was built when I was in the 9th grade, and Art Proctor was the pro hired there. And so I went out and got a job. I was one of the first range rats, we were affectionately referred to, I think. So we picked up golf balls and swept floors and cleaned the golf carts and all that kind of stuff. And we got paid $1 an hour. And that might not sound like much, but we probably actually were overpaid. For instance, one cold winter day, nobody's out there, nobody's hitting balls, nobody's on the golf course, and so me and I think another range rat named Carl McKinney were out in the cart barn, and just freezing cold. And so we're thinking of something to do. Idea occurs to us to have a closest to the hole contest out to the 18th green. The 18th green was about 50, 60 yards out away from the cart barn, and the cart barn faced it, had two big garage doors. So we opened the garage door, and we hit wedges off of the concrete floor out the door onto the 18th green. And we made one small miscalculation. There was a group on the golf course that day, and they happened to be coming up the 18th hole. And guess who was in the group? Art Proctor. So Art kind of shrugged it off. But the benefit to working at Kicking Bird was to be around Art. He helped me with my golf swing, to learn about chipping and putting, all parts of the game. I got to watch him. And you know, as I got older and got onto the tour and stuff, we became good friends and have been for a long time. So I was lucky to be around Art for all those years. And then, of course, college. These days, they start recruiting you in about the third grade. But back then, I didn't hear from anybody until I was a senior in high school. And Coach Jim Autry was down at Norman at OU. And he wanted me to come to OU pretty bad, offered me a full scholarship and brought me down here to Oklahoma City Golf and Country Club and kind of wined me and dined me and whatever. Coach Holder was kind of lukewarm. You kind of saw in the video there. He wasn't so sure. He wasn't so sure I was going to turn out to be much of a golfer. But so I was kind of leaning toward going to OU really. And the state high school golf tournament was in Norman. And this is May, and I'm going to college in 3 months, and I don't know where. So the final round, Coach Holder came down and brought Tom Jones with him. And Tom was first-team All-American that year, his freshman year at Oklahoma State. And I hadn't been around Tom a lot because he was in Tulsa, and I played most of my golf in Oklahoma City. But he came down that last day and followed me around, the whole round. And I don't know if I was just flattered or what, but I just thought if that guy will watch me play all day long, I want to be on his team. So I decided to go to Oklahoma State. And it was a great decision. I got to be a part of 2 national championship teams. And Tom was a unique person. Tom's one of the most inclusive people that I've ever been around. And didn't matter if you were the best player on the team or the worst player on the team. You were part of the team to Tom, and we did a lot of things together and built a lot of friendships through those years. So, and I needed that because I wasn't a very good teammate when I got to OSU. I was, we'll just say when I didn't play well, I wasn't too pleasant to be around. Leave it at that. But fortunately, being around Tom and Lindy Miller's here tonight, and a lot of other guys on the team. Over the course of 4 years, I learned to be a better golfer, but I think more importantly, I learned to be a better teammate and a better person in general because of those guys. After college, and also I want to thank Coach Holder. He gave me the opportunity to play there at Oklahoma State, and again, I had a great 4 years there, so fortunate to do that. After college, I got onto the tour, and I want to say thanks to Joe Walser and Ernie Vossler and all the people from Oak Tree and stuff. Getting onto the tour was great to have a home to come back to here in Edmond, but to have Oak Tree available to practice, and it was a great atmosphere because so many guys on the tour were all there and everything, so that was a real benefit to me in getting started on the tour. And as I looked back, I thought, I've had teammates for the last 7 or 8 years, high school and college, and I thought, I don't have a teammate anymore, so I got married. And my wife, Johnny, will be married 42 years in January. So, so she's been my teammate for all these years. We added a couple of small teammates, Rachel and Abby, through the years, and I'm grateful for what they've meant to my life. So the last thing I'll say is golf tournaments take a lot of people, a lot of work to put on. Junior tournaments, a handful of people, but when you get up to the professional level and the majors that we've had here in Oklahoma, it takes an unbelievable amount of work. They start planning several years in advance, getting the golf course ready. They get committees, volunteers, just an incredible amount of work. I've seen them move the pro shop out into a tent so they make more room in the clubhouse and all. And the pros, we fly in, we get in our courtesy car, drive out the golf course, we hit brand new golf balls in the range, we eat free food all week long, and play our golf tournament, and then we head back to the airport and we go off to the next place. Now they have to repair the damage to the golf course and get the clubhouse back in order and all that kind of thing. So at the end of all this, they end up giving me an award for my part in that. That doesn't seem quite right to me. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. I know a lot of you in the golf business are here. A lot of you have volunteered and helped out with tournaments. And I just want to say thank you because I couldn't do what I did without the help of a whole lot of people. And so I want to thank everybody and thank everybody for coming tonight. Thank you.